And go.
But I'm fat. but I don't.
I'm skinny.
But I'm fat.
Hello everyone, day number 2 of working on the car. Not technically day number 2, it's like day number 5.
Well,
Second day of working on the car is what I mean by that. Hyundai Elantra.
2007.
And I'm just sitting here, we're taking apart the head and gonna scrub it down. I was gonna pay a shop to do it, but he kind of wanted too much money and he's really backed up. But anyway, the point is we're getting this thing cleaned up. And I'm taking the camshafts out right now. And we're gonna get all this goop out. And we're gonna stick it in that tub. Would you hand me that? We're gonna use that stuff to clean the engine. It's gonna be fun. Lots of fun.
Not fun, you really mean not fun.
Exactly.
Now, do you want these like perfectly clean?
That would be perfect. Just make sure there's no gunk on them, especially on the circular part on the inside. Make sure that's clean and shiny.
That's where it sits flush with the camshaft, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I mean, it's lubricated by oil, but I want to make sure that there's no gunk in there. There shouldn't be. Ugh. What a mess. Well, it's definitely a lot cleaner than it was. These cylinders I didn't scrub at all. That's just what the degreaser took off. That's our parts washer tub. I just used a big plastic tub, by the way. I'm trying to dry out more water because I got to get all the water out of the head. Gotta be clean, clean, clean. There we go. Doesn't even look like the same head. It's so friggin' clean. Got everything laid out here, and it's all coated with WD-40 so that it doesn't rust, because the seals and everything won't be until tomorrow. So, just got to take my tub of gunk and dump it over to take it to AutoZone or Advance because it's closer. They'll dump it for me. Then we get to get there and put everything back together. It's gonna be the fun part.
Oh.
Alright everyone, round 3. It's the next day. Yes, I'm wearing the same clothes. Why put on clean clothes? You're just gonna get the same dirt on it. All of the stuff came in today. This is the box it came in. This is what we're doing today. We gotta clean up the engine block, get all the gasket material off, get it nice and smooth and purdy. Clean out the intake and the exhaust. That stuff's pretty good. I'll have to get the timing reset because I took the cams off. Here's the parts I ordered. Spent about $150 I think on all of this. By ordering some of this offline and not buying it retail, I saved probably $100. That right there is probably the most expensive part. That's the head gasket kit. It comes with every gasket you need. Got a new air cleaner. Those are the new head bolts, new spark plugs, new oil filter, new timing belt, tension pulley, idler pulley, water pump gasket, and 2 new belts. Now it's just cleaning, putting everything back together, making sure everything is torqued properly in the proper order. That's very important. Oh, new thermostat. Forgot about this. This came in separate. I don't know why. They must have shipped from a different warehouse. So yeah, there we go. That's all of it, I think. The thing I still have to buy oil, and it needs new antifreeze. So yeah, I'm gonna get to cleaning. engine block semi-clean. I wanted a little cleaner, but it's about as good as it's gonna get. And here's this very cheap looking head gasket. That's a very awkward head gasket. There it is, so gotta get the head on. Well, my little socket here for putting these head bolts in fits one side, won't fit the other side because this part here is just a little too wide. If it was that big there, it'd be great, which is very odd. I don't understand why they would do it like that. Like, it fits this side just fine because there's plenty of room. But over here, if you can see it, it won't fit because that end of it's too big. So I'm gonna have to go see if I can find one of these sockets to either the hex part or the Allen part of it is longer, or the upper part of the shaft is skinnier. Just little things you run into. Probably wondering how I got them off. I broke them loose with just a normal Allen. Yeah, but I can't torque them with the Allen because I can't see how many pounds of torque I'm putting on them. So yeah, I'm gonna run up to the store and see what I can find. All right, I'm back. I eventually ended up going to Harbor Freight and finding this Pittsburgh metric set course of these impact. Should work. That's the size I need right there, that H8. They had the extended hex head things that were like this long, but you can't really use those with a torque wrench because as you're torquing, that whole thing's going to twist and it's going to change the actual foot-pounds you're putting on the bolt because you're reading the twisting is added into it, so you can't do that. And these are sturdy and made for stuff like that. So I'm gonna start torquing this stuff down. So apparently I needed an angled torque gauge or something like that on these little things. I could have faked it because let's say you got a 6-point socket like this. Each one of those sides is 60 degrees. So if you were gonna put this on a bolt, put it like that, make a mark on the side, make a mark on whatever you're, like make a mark here and then make a mark on the metal there. Take it, turn it one back, put it up back on, that's 60 degrees. So I was thinking about doing that to do the angle torque on these. But I decided not, since this car came to me with a blown head gasket, I don't want it to leave me with a blown head gasket. So I went to AutoZone, picked this thing up for $12.99, and it'll be 100% accurate. So now let's do what we wanted to do this morning. Well, there we go, the head's on. And all of the bolts are torqued and angled as close as I can get it. We'll find out. It starts spewing fire from the side.
Don't do that. No.
Oh, finally got all that gasket from the water pump off. That was rough. It wasn't fun. I don't know. I've probably been scraping on that for like 2 hours. Savannah even helped a little bit. Gasket had become one with the engine block. Oh, but I guess just to lighten my load tomorrow, I think I'm gonna start putting together this side of the engine. Get the new thermostat on and get all the radiator hoses hooked up, and yeah, that'll be that. My camera did something funny this morning, and apparently, I don't know, I guess I turned it off. It was still, the light was flashing. I was still processing the video after I pressed stop recording. And I guess it didn't save the video, so my first morning video of the car was gone. So good morning. Just got done with lunch. Got the new exhaust gasket on, new intake gasket on, thermostat housing and all of that put back in, new gasket, new thermostat. Still have to get the camshafts put back in, and then still have to get this side of the engine put back together. Yay! Back to work. It's coming along. Alright everyone, this side of the engine is back together and everything is plugged in and hooked up. The exhaust manifold is on. I gotta put the O2 sensor in, but it goes through this hole in the heat shield, and I'm not gonna put the heat shield and stuff on until I get the alternator bracket back on and water pump in, which is what I'm doing right now. This is the old water pump. This is the pretty shiny new one, except for some reason they thought it was a good idea. Put this little lip on it right here. This one has the same thing, and it looks about the same, but it isn't. This one is shorter. Because of that, that lip catches on this part right here, and you can't twist the water pump. So I'm gonna take my file it down a little bit, or make that gap just a little wider. It won't hurt the water pump at all. It won't hurt the integrity of the water pump at all. It's a nubbin sticking out that I have no idea why it's even there in the first place. But so that's what I'm doing. See you soon. Putting these here lifters back in.
And you're lubricating them first, right?
Yeah. Yeah, put some oil on it first. This is the oil, so I don't accidentally drink it. If you come around this way, you'll see that the water pump's on, and the new idle puller for the timing belt is on, and the bracket for the alternator. It's all good. Man, that was fun. Took me a while to figure out how to get that freaking tension pulley on there properly. Good lord. I don't understand why they make it so difficult, but they do. So the timing has been set. The timing belt's on. I got the camshafts put back in. Looks a lot different than it did before. As you can see, there's actually letters and numbers on top of these things. Get the timing belt cover on. You get the water pump pulley put on. The engine mount back on. Heat shield and O2 sensor. Valve cover. Hook the battery back up. Get the cruise control hooked back up. I guess that's it. All it's going to need after that is some oil and some antifreeze, and then... Alright, one of these is the valve cover gasket. It's going to go on the valve cover. The valve cover is going to go back on the engine. And hopefully that's the last thing I got to do. Hopefully I won't have to take this thing back apart. Almost done. I've got to put a water pump pulley on. That's not a problem. Yeah, so I'm going to get this gasket on here. I finish this thing up. I'm almost done. Don't you love these ones you have to destroy to get off? There you have it. Engine brackets on, all the belts are on, every bolt is accounted for. The only thing I have left, if you can see it, I gotta tighten up that crankshaft pulley. The only thing left to do now is put the cover on this part. We are done up here. There you go. The only thing I need to do now besides tighten up the crankshaft pulley bolt and put the wheel back on is get some oil, change the oil filter, put new oil in it, and put some antifreeze in it. And then start it up and pray that everything works. So that'll be tomorrow. See you then. It's the next day, and Savannah's gone to get oil and antifreeze right now. I'm about to tighten down this crankshaft bolt a little bit more, and then put the wheel back on, push this car back a little bit because I don't have a lot of room to work. Jack it up, drain what crappy oil's in here, and see what I can do, and consider taking off the oil pan and clean it out. I might do that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how the oil looks that comes out of there. Got the car pushed out. Had to give it an oil change and put antifreeze in it. Wheels back on. It's on all four wheels again.
Hey.
Ninja lady.
I didn't think this through.
You're good. If you fall, it only hurt a little bit.
That was kind of graceful. I don't do graceful.
Alright, got the new oil filter on. Savannah's being brave and putting oil in it. And then it's antifreeze. I guess I can get started on that. I'll get ready to catch a rod.
You sure?
Yeah, go ahead.
Positive?
Yes, go ahead. Battery's weak. Well, it's not starting, and I think it's because of that camshaft. So I'll take the top of the engine off and see if I can figure out how that camshaft's supposed to go, because it's not marked. So I'm gonna have to go look some stuff up on it. And I found a part on it that looked like, because it was a notch right even with one of the sprockets, so I assume that's where it went, but apparently not. I did a compression test for all even, but they're very low. So yeah. Alright, I figured out it is the camshaft, it is in the wrong spot. Apparently, from what I looked up, this right here is the timing mark and not the hole that's in the sprocket. So I've got to just loosen the timing belt, pull the top off here, and take this camshaft loose and then rotate it around and line up both the timing marks. First, I gotta eat. Alright, everything's back together. Hopefully the timing is set properly this time. Well, not the timing, but the camshaft is put in right. I'm gonna try to start it. The battery's a little weak, but ready? Crank it up and see what happens. It's alive! It's alive!
How's it smelling?
I think it's just stuff in the exhaust. I don't want it to catch on fire.
At least the timing was right.
Yeah, timing's right. Sounds okay. Well, I found one of the problems. Thermostat housing was cracked and it was leaking from underneath. When I took it off, it just fell apart. Well, no one has the thermostat housing in stock. AutoZone said they can get it here tonight and it'll be here so I can go pick it up in the morning. So that's what I'll do first thing tomorrow morning. Get up bright and early and go get the thermostat housing and put it back together and let the engine smoke everything out of it. And that's it. So one more day, I hope. At least it started. It's a good thing. All right, here we go. Hopefully the final day. Got the new thermostat housing in, and it came with the proper gasket. Also convinced that part of the reason that one either broke, or could have already been broke, but this gasket was way too big. Get it put together. There's a hole in that exhaust on the front somewhere. I think it's under those heat shields, just after the exhaust manifold where it attaches to the head. For all that smoke was coming from yesterday. I'm pretty convinced all that is just the engine burning stuff out of it, because there was a lot of oil in the intake. I cleaned some of it out, what I could get to. So I know there's got to be the same amount of the same stuff sitting down in the exhaust too. So it's gonna have to burn all that out. But I need to see if I can get that hole patched up with something, because I need to make sure that that is just coming from the engine and not off of the engine or out of the engine. It sounds much better, and so far all of the smoke is just coming out of the exhaust, so that's good. Let it burn everything out and see what happens. But yeah, we'll see. Savannah's been scrubbing, which is good, and the door was jammed shut, so I actually managed to get the door panel off while the door was closed and get everything taken off and reach in there and basically pry the door open. There's something wrong with the mechanism for the outside handle. So, I mean, the handle's broke, so it's going to be replaced, so I have to take it all apart anyway. And we're going to go get some refreshments.
Yeah, we deserve it.
So far, so good. I reset the timing. I got the back door to open. I think I mentioned that. She said it'd stand just below norm, or just below the halfway point on the temperature, but it did that before, except when we were driving and you gave it a lot of gas to accelerate fast, you'd watch the temperature gauge climb. But then when you went back down to idle, you'd watch the temperature gauge drop. I don't know, that's a mystery to me. It'll take a lot more diagnosing to figure out if it's still doing it, but we won't know until we take it on a longer drive, so. Okay, seems like the overheating problem has been fixed. Apparently it was just the timing was off just a little bit, not enough to make it not run, just enough to make it overheat. That's the end of this day. Tomorrow we gotta finish working on the console, and the check engine light's on now, so as long as it's not overheating tomorrow, I'll take it to AutoZone or Advance, have them test it, so we'll see. Alright, everything's going great with the car. It's running good, it's not overheating. We just took it on a very long drive. Gasoline mileage is not good because the O2 sensor apparently is bad. So I'll get one of those, put it in, and should be good to go. That'll fix the erratic idle and fix the gas mileage. It's brake time. Well, I got the brakes done. A little bit of finagling. You guys, you gotta love mass-produced manufactured parts. Because one of the brake pads, just one of the pads wouldn't fit anywhere, so I had to take my file and shave down part of the metal on the top of the pad, and then it fit. Stupid. It's not the first time I've had to do that with brake pads either. But Savannah painted the hubcaps. As you can see, there's a nice stencil left on this piece of carpet. We painted the rims. We're just waiting for them to dry, and we're gonna put them back on the hover car here. And we'll jack up the rear and do the same thing. And that should be it. Fix you soon. About to start painting the rear. Well, Savannah is. I popped this one off, and do you see anything wrong? Look at that. Apparently this caliper is not working at all. It should look like this. It should be smooth. So I guess now I'm gonna have to take that caliper off and see why it's seized up. Upon a closer inspection, I have figured out that you can see the brake pads. This one has a lot of pads, this one does not. The inside is smooth, which means the caliper was only moving one of the brake pads, it wasn't clamping. Not the caliper's fault. I think this brake pad probably, I mean, look at it. This brake pad probably was hung up and wouldn't move. I don't know. I'll check it out. Okay, all I did was put a lot of WD-40 and Never Seize on it, some lubricant, metal lubricant, and beat on it for a while and got it to move freely. So then I just put the caliper back on because I don't want to change, I don't want to take them off without having new brake pads to put on. So that's what I did, and should be good. Okay, here's the finished product. Here's the finished product. Got the grill painted black. Got the rims and the hubcaps painted black. Car doesn't even look the same. And Savannah will open the door.
Step inside.
Got the seats cleaned up on us and pretty. Back seat all minus that dirty seat belt. And we resprayed the middle of the console here with this textured hammered Rust-Oleum paint, hammered look. And we did this part here also, and then we still have to do these. We're gonna do those later on. And I still have to fix the hood latch. Fixed the visor here, it was broke. Put it back up and repaired the piece of plastic that was broke. And as of right now, the car is working perfect. So I think it needs plug wires still, which we'll get those later on. And that's about it. It runs. And all for about, which we have to thank our friends for selling this car to us for so cheap, because total amount we've spent on the car is $535 and 70 something cents. So $535, we got a running car and a week's worth of work. But yeah, so thanks for watching, everybody. If you got any questions, just let me know. I'll try to answer. But I didn't do this video as a tutorial. It was more just a
whim.
Something to keep my camera arm busy. So, so thanks for watching. See you soon.